The detective duo, a tale of trust and truth. Detective Ethan Moore had a strong reputation after 2 decades with the New York City Police Department. He was known for his careful approach and keen eye for detail. He had solved many tough cases, but despite his experience, Ethan preferred to work alone. He believed no one could match his pace or his method. One morning, while sipping black coffee at his desk, his boss, Captain Jacobs, walked in with a smile. Ethan, I have some news for you, Captain Jacobs said. Ethan sensed something he wouldn't like. You're getting a partner. Ethan raised an eyebrow. A partner? You know I work better alone, Captain. Captain Jacobs chuckled. Not this time. Meet Detective Sarah Hayes. She's young, but she has a sharp mind and a strong track record. Ethan turned to see a young woman, no older than 30, walk in. She had an air of confidence, bright eyes, and a firm handshake. Nice to meet you, Detective Moore, she said with a smile. I've heard a lot about you. Ethan nodded, hiding his skepticism. Likewise. Sarah was new to the precinct, but had gained a reputation for being bold and quick. While Ethan relied on logic, Sarah trusted her instincts and took risks. They were an unlikely pair, but they were about to face a challenging case. Ethan and Sarah's first case was about a series of high profile burglaries in wealthy neighborhoods. The thief was elusive, leaving no fingerprints or DNA. They visited the first crime scene, a mansion in Upper Manhattan. The place had been stripped off of expensive artwork and jewelry. Ethan immediately began taking detailed notes. He examined the floor, windows, and every corner of the house. His eyes moved slowly, trying to catch anything out of place. Sarah preferred to talk to the staff and neighbors, hoping someone had seen something. Hours later, they regrouped. Sarah leaned against the police car and sighed. Nothing. No one saw anything. Ethan looked up from his notes. It's not about what people saw, it's about what they missed. A clue is always there, even when you think it's not. Sarah looked unconvinced but didn't argue. She admired Ethan's experience but felt he sometimes overanalyzed. Sometimes you just have to go with your gut, she thought, but kept it to herself. Days passed and the thief struck again, this time at another wealthy home. The pressure from the media and the public was growing. Captain Jacobs wanted results fast. Sarah was getting frustrated. We're chasing ghosts, she said, after another long day of dead ends. I think one of the neighbors know more than he's letting on. Ethan remained calm. We don't have enough evidence to go on gut feeling, Sarah. We need hard facts. Sometimes you have to trust your instincts, Ethan. Not everything can be solved with just logic, Sarah replied. They continued to clash over their approaches. Ethan spent hours at the station looking for patterns in the case files. Meanwhile, Sarah chased down leads and talked to informants. Their partnership was off to a rocky start. After several more days, Sarah's instincts paid off. One informant had overheard a conversation about stolen goods being moved through a local pawn shop. Without waiting for Ethan, she decided to check it out herself. Sarah entered the pawn shop, questioning the owner about recent large purchases. At first, he denied everything, but after some pressure, he admitted that a man had sold him some expensive jewelry. Excited, Sarah called Ethan. I think I found something. Meet me at the station. When Ethan arrived, Sarah proudly presented the pawn shop owner's testimony and a bag of jewelry that matched the descriptions from one of the burglaries. I told you my instincts were right, she exclaimed. Ethan, however, wasn't thrilled. This could be unrelated, Sarah. We need to be sure before we move forward. Sarah's face fell. Why can't you just trust me? It's not about trust, Ethan replied. It's about building a solid case. Their tension grew, and Sarah began to wonder if working with Ethan would ever get easier. Despite Ethan's hesitation, Sarah couldn't let go of her lead. She was sure the man who sold the jewelry was connected to the burglaries. Without telling Ethan, she decided to stake out the pawn shop and follow the seller if he returned. Later that night, Sarah sat in her car waiting. Hours passed with no sign of the suspect. Just as she was about to give up, she spotted him entering the shop. Sarah quietly got out of her car and followed him. Things quickly escalated when the man spotted her and tried to run. Sarah chased him through dark alleyways, cornering him in a dead end street. Before she could make an arrest, the man pulled a knife. Ethan had noticed Sarah was missing from the station. Knowing her impulsive nature, he decided to track her down. When he found her in the alleyway, confronting the armed suspect alone, his heart raced. Without hesitation, Ethan intervened, disarming the man and arresting him. What were you thinking? He asked Sarah after they cuffed the suspect. I was just following my gut, Sarah said, feeling both embarrassed and defensive. This isn't a solo job, Ethan replied. You should have called for backup. We're a team. Sarah nodded, realizing the danger she had put herself in. Back at the station, Sarah apologized to Ethan. I'm sorry. I'm used to working alone. It's hard for me to trust someone else. Ethan sighed. I understand. I used to be the same way, but we're stronger together. For the first time, Sarah felt a shift in their relationship. She realized Ethan's calm and measured approach balanced her impulsiveness. Together, they could be an unbeatable team. While Sarah's lead didn't pan out as expected, it brought them closer to the truth. Ethan's analysis of the crime scenes led him to discover a small but significant detail. Each burglarized home was near construction sites. That's our connection, Ethan said, showing Sarah a map of a city with more crime locations. The thief might be someone working on these sites. He could use his access as cover. Sarah's eyes lit up. It makes sense. No one would expect a construction worker. They'd have a perfect excuse to be in those neighborhoods. They had a new direction to follow. Ethan and Sarah decided to go undercover at one of the construction sites near the most recent burglary. Ethan posed as a foreman and Sarah as a new worker, blending in while keeping an eye on everyone. After a few days, they noticed a man who seemed nervous whenever they asked about his work. His name was Derek, and he had been on every job near the crime scenes. They decided to focus on him. To confirm their suspicions, Ethan and Sarah set a trap. They planted false information about a wealthy homeowner leaving town with valuables behind. They waited for days, hoping the thief would take the bait. Late one night, their patience paid off. Derek broke into the house, unaware that Ethan and Sarah were watching from a nearby surveillance van. Ethan quickly radioed for backup and they caught Derek in the act. With Derek in custody, he quickly confessed to the burglaries. He had used his job as a construction worker to scout homes, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Back at the station, Ethan and Sarah handed in their final report. The case was solved, but more importantly, they had learned to work together as a team. Moral of the story: success comes from blending different strengths. By embracing both logic and intuition and learning to trust others, we can overcome obstacles that seem impossible to tackle alone.